Welcome back to Bestowal Talks, the podcast where real business challenges meet practical, technology-driven solutions. In today's episode, we dive into a topic every planning leader has heard of, but very few truly understand: SAP Integrated Business Planning, or SAP IBP. Joining us is Tushar, who will break down what IBP really is, why modern organizations are moving away from scattered Excel sheets, and how an end-to-end IBP implementation actually works in real life. From forecasting clarity to supply constraints, from governance rules to CIDS integration, we're unpacking it all in a simple, business-first language. If you've ever wondered, do we really need IBP? Or how does IBP change the way we plan? This episode is for you. Let's get started. Thanks for joining today, Tushar. We've heard a lot about SAP IBP, but before we move forward, I'd like to understand what it actually is and how it will help our planning process.
Absolutely, that's a great starting point. Let me begin at a high level. SAP IBP, or Integrated Business Planning, is a cloud-based planning solution that helps align demand, supply, inventory, and financial plans on a single platform. The main idea is to move away from siloed Excel-based planning to a connected, data-driven process.
So, is IBP mainly a forecasting tool? Because right now, our biggest pain point is forecast accuracy.
Common question and a small misunderstanding. IBP does include forecasting, but it's much more than that. Forecasting is just one part, usually under demand planning. IBP also supports supply planning, inventory optimization, and S&OP, which together help you make end-to-end decisions, not just forecasts.
Okay, that helps. But practically speaking, what advantages does IBP give us compared to what we do today in Excel?
Good question. Let me break it down into practical advantages. 1. Single version of truth. Everyone works on the same numbers. 2. Real-time visibility. No waiting for manual consolidation. 3. Scenario planning. You can simulate what if demand increases by 20%. 4. Cross-functional alignment. Sales, supply, and finance plan together. 5. Faster decision-making. Less time preparing data. More time deciding. Excel is flexible, but it's not scalable or reliable for complex planning.
We already have SAP S for HANA. Does IBP replace it, or will it sit on top of it?
IBP doesn't replace S/4HANA. That's another common confusion. Think of it this way. S/4HANA is your execution system, orders, production, procurement. IBP is your planning system. IBP uses data from S/4HANA, plans it, and then sends the agreed plan back for execution.
Understood. Now, before implementation starts, what do you typically need from the business side?
This is a very important step, understanding business specifications. Before configuration, we conduct business discovery workshops where we ask questions like, how do you forecast today? What planning levels do you use? Product, location, customer. How often do you plan? Weekly, monthly. Where are the biggest pain points? What KPIs matter most to leadership? Without this clarity, IBP becomes a technical exercise instead of a business solution.
We forecast monthly at product and region level. Sometimes sales override the forecast last minute. Can IBP handle that?
Yes, and this is exactly where IBP helps. IBP supports statistical forecasts, manual overrides, approval workflows, but we also define governance rules. For example, who can override, by how much, until which date. This avoids uncontrolled changes and improves trust in the plan.
What about supply constraints? Right now, sales commit quantities without checking capacity.
That's a classic issue. In IBP, during the supply review, we model production capacity, supplier limits, lead times. If demand exceeds supply, IBP highlights the gap. Instead of surprises later, you see constraints during planning and can take decisions early.
Does that mean IBP will automatically decide what to cut?
Not automatically, unless you want it to. IBP is primarily a decision support tool, not a black box. It shows options and impacts. The business still decides which customers to prioritize, whether to build inventory, whether to accept backlog.
That's reassuring. Now, can you walk me through the overall IBP implementation procedure?
Of course, a typical IBP implementation follows these steps. 1. Business understanding and scope definition. We define which IBP modules to implement, planning horizons, business objectives. 2. Solution design. Here we design planning levels, key figures, time profiles, processes, demand, supply, S&OP. This is where business and consultants work very closely. 3. System configuration. We configure planning areas, master data, key figure calculations, operators, and jobs. At this stage, technical setup reflects business decisions. 4. Data integration. We integrate data from S/4HANA or ECC, flat files, or other systems. Data quality is critical here. Bad data leads to bad planning. 5. Testing and validation. Business users test, forecast accuracy, supply feasibility, reports and dashboards. Feedback is incorporated before go live. 6. Training and go live users are trained on day-to-day planning, exception handling, decision making. Then we go live with controlled support.
How long does such an implementation usually take?
It depends on scope, but typically, basic demand planning, 3-4 months, end-to-end IBP with S&OP, 6-9 months. We always recommend starting small and scaling later.
What is expected from business users after go live?
Great question. After go live, IBP becomes part of monthly planning cycles. Business owns the numbers. Consultants support enhancements and optimization. IBP works best when business actively uses it, not just as a reporting tool.
One last concern. Will IBP reduce manual effort, or will it add more work initially?
Honestly, initially, there is some learning effort, but once stabilized, manual consolidations reduce, planning cycles shorten, meetings become more decision-focused. Most clients say IBP simplifies planning after adoption.
This discussion clarified a lot. I now see IBP not just as a system, but as a planning process improvement.
Exactly. That's the right way to see it. IBP is successful when business and system work together.
Before we close, I have one more question. How exactly does our data come from the source system into IBP? We keep hearing about CIDS. What role does it play?
That's an important question, and I'm glad you asked. CIDS, or Cloud Integration Data Services, is the primary tool used to bring data from source systems into SAP IBP.
So does CIDS replace our existing interfaces?
Not exactly. CIDS is the ETL tool. It extracts, transforms, and loads data. It doesn't replace your source system or IBP. It just ensures the right data reaches IBP in the right format and frequency.
What kind of data are we talking about here?
Typically, master data like products, locations, customers, transactional data such as sales history, orders, inventory, sometimes key figures like demand or supply quantities. All of this data is prepared in CIDS and then loaded into IBP planning areas.
Is this data real-time?
Not real-time, and that's a common misconception. IBP integrations via CIDS are usually batch-based, daily or hourly, depending on business needs. For planning purposes, this is more than sufficient.
And who monitors if something fails?
CIDS provides job monitoring and error logs. During implementation, we also set up job schedules, failure alerts, reprocessing procedures. So data issues are identified and resolved quickly.
That makes sense. So once data is in IBP, planners can directly start planning?
Exactly. Once CIDS loads clean data into IBP, planners work on a consistent and trusted dataset, which is essential for accurate planning and decision-making.
That brings us to the end of today's insightful conversation on SAP IBP. We explored how IBP brings one version of truth, connects forecasting with supply, strengthens S&OP, and replaces manual consolidations with real-time visibility and scenario planning. Tushar also walked us through the complete IBP implementation journey, from business discovery to solution design, integration, testing, and go live, along with the crucial role of CIDS in ensuring clean and trustworthy data for planning. At its core, today's discussion highlighted one powerful message. IBP is not just a system upgrade. It is a transformation in the way organizations plan, collaborate, and make decisions. And remember, whether you're starting small or aiming for a full-scale IBP rollout, our consultants at Bestowal are always here to guide you through every step of your transformation journey, ensuring clarity, governance, and long-term success. Thank you for listening to Bestowal Talks. Stay tuned for more episodes where we continue simplifying technology, one conversation at a time.